Miss Rhea Suzette Hagisan.
Yay, thank you, Gish and Kai. So, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. So, this would be the final topic for this Saturday's session. Even though it's final for the day, but it can be really tedious because we are going to make your business model canvas. But before we do so, you need to be able to identify what are the different parts in making your business model. And Gish and Kai Kai have been very good in explaining about the empathy map, your validation, and whatnot, because those are essential things you need to do prior to making your business model. As such, it is very important that you need to be able to finish, iterate, change, pivot, should there be some things that you deemed not good or not essential in order to make a feasible business model. So to continue, this is how the business model canvas looks like. And we have already emailed you the template as well as brief explanations of those components here. So at least you can be able to do it starting this afternoon until next week before we will revisit you for another meeting, online meeting, so we can check your progress in creating your business model canvas. So in a nutshell, there are different components there. So you can be able to see there the key partners on your left, key activities. Below that would be the key resources. We have value propositions in the middle, customer relationships, channels, customer segments, and at the bottom part would be your cost structure and revenue streams. The business model is not only applicable to startups, but even brick and mortar businesses are using this. So they will have a Snapchat, they will have a one image idea as to how their business would work, how they can earn money, how they can attract customers, how to maintain that customers, and other things deemed important in running a business. So again, this is not only exclusive to startups because this can be created by even mature businesses who wants to be able to look at new aspects in their business. So we are going to explain each of those items there, so you need not worry. So there are things to consider. No business plans survive the first customer contact. And business plans are actually known for the future, and it may not work in the startup context. But even if you decide first to build a business out of the blue, like, hey, I want to create a business, it is very much important that you already have a business plan. Even a simple or a small one would be feasible, so you can already have a roadmap as to how you can be able to create a business starting from this point forward. It's the business model that actually matters, because in your business model you can be able to learn, validate, and guarantee yourself that, hey, this business can actually earn. With this kind of business model, there would be money coming in, because you don't build a business if you don't have plans to earn. Even non-profit businesses, they can be tagged as non-profit, but they need money in order to maintain operations of the business. And even more, you as an entrepreneur, you also need to be able to pay yourself even while doing the business. To continue, you need to take time to think through alternative possibilities. No wonder the word pivot would always come out in the startup world, simply because um, we need to be able to change. We need to be able to iterate. We might need to go in a different direction, tap another customer segment if need be, because that can be able to help us identify what would be the most feasible way for our business to make money. But considering that we are in a startup stage, the good thing about pivoting is that it's very easy for us to maneuver to a different direction because our business right now is still small. So as such, pivoting would be very easy on our end. Your business model idea for the time being is just a set of hypotheses simply because we are still not getting really getting the customers yet. But in the process of creating our business model canvas, at least in the long run, we can be able to validate if our hypothesis really works. So if we are crafting our business model canvas starting today until the succeeding days, these are just mere hypotheses for the time being. Okay, so as you progress with your startup and your business, you can now be able to identify if those hypotheses really works. Otherwise, the word there is pivot. It's the business model that really matters because this describes how your company, your startup, your business creates, delivers, and captures value. So do not think that you are the first startup that addresses this problem. You might you might be taken aback that there are already a lot of startups and businesses that are doing the same thing. But what will make you different from those that are existing and from the rest would be the kind of value you are giving to your customers. And don't forget your customer driven product because business models won't work without the right product. And again, it is the customers that bring in money. So it is very important that the first, prior to business model canvas, we talked about customer empathy because we need to be able to understand how our customer feels. Are we really addressing the right problems? And are we really targeting the right customers? Because again, these customers are the ones bringing us money. Okay, so the business model is simply the description. The good thing about this business model canvas is it actually provides all the parts necessary for your company to make money. And it is very simple because it is only like one diagram. So everything can be seen in a snapshot. So that is why a business model canvas the is like one of the holy grail of the startup world because every aspect in your business can be seen in that canvas. Okay, so the BMC or business model canvas is a strategic management template in order to develop new or document existing models. It is also visual. So if you are like a visual learner, like many of us, then this can be a good diagram for you to see because it describes all elements of your business, like your value proposition, infrastructure, who your customers are, how are you getting money, what are the things you spend on in your company. And furthermore, it assists firms in aligning their activity in order to illustrate potential trade offs. So, again, these are the components of our business model canvas. Some might have already encountered this diagram, so it can be sort of a review. Otherwise, for some who are still starting, this would be a good way to know better your business. Even the Department of Trade and Industry is teaching business model canvas to brick and mortar businesses. So again, this is a good diagram for us to get started. So the first thing we need to be able to identify is your customer segment. But you already created your customer empathy a week before this one. So as such, you already have answers in your customer segment. The next thing you need to be able to identify is what they call as value proposition. Don't worry, we'll be explaining each of these after this one. We are just simply showing you how you go about drawing your business model canvas. The third one, after the value proposition, should be your channel. We will explain what channel is. The fourth one would be customer relationship. The next thing to do is revenue streams. Six would be your key activities in your business. Seven would be the key resources. Eight would be the key partners. And finally, the last one to do is your cost structure. So again, let me repeat. This should be done in sequence. So first would be customer segment. Second would be value proposition. Channel third. Number four, customer relationship. Number five, revenue streams. Six, key activities. Seven, key resources. Eight, key partners. And finally, number nine is our cost structure. So let's start with customer segment. So this has been explained thoroughly since last week. We are simply answering the question for whom we are creating value. Like for whom are we trying to deliver this product to? Okay, so who are your most important customers? So you need to be able to answer that. So there are a lot of customer segment types. We have mass market. If you decide that this particular startup of yours is intended for the many, very much similar to soaps, shampoos, like the basic necessities, food. So those are intended for the mass market. We also have what we call as niche market. So these are really defined market, like if you are trying to tap in young professionals because you are delivering this kind of technology, or if your business is into artificial intelligence, so you might be tapping to a niche market. Like let's say our niche market for our AI is intended for businesses that earns 1 million pesos per month and above. So that would be a good example of a niche market. Or some of the branded or luxury designs, like luxury cars, are intended for the niche market and they're not intended to be consumed by the masses. Next, we also have what we call as segmented market. So a segmented market, on the other hand, okay, segmented market would be much greater than a niche market, because niche market would be narrow, whereas segment is what we call a specialized offering. So technically, the most small businesses are not into niche because they would rather have what they call as a segment market, so to say. So again, some small businesses, SMEs, are into segmented market rather than niche market, simply because segmented market are way larger than what they call as niche market. We also have what we call as diversified market, like you can be tapping to more segment market, so to say. So for example, you can have segment one, let's say young professionals, but your business or your startup would also be good to this another kind of market. So if you are going to group together and combine them, then they can be able to tap as diversified market. And we also have a multi-side platforms, like you can up to combine the niche, the segment, the diversified, then by all means that's okay. But even though if you combine the three, it cannot still be able to grasp to the mass market. It still is way lower or smaller than the mass market. Then that can be referred to as the multi-side platforms. Okay, the next. Okay, for our startups, that's where everyone is at the moment. You need to be able to identify your customers in what we call as a persona. A persona is something similar to this one, in which you simply identify a segment of your market, but it is more trimmed down because you are really getting a person to best represent your customer. In this case, it is Jill Anderson. You don't need to really identify a person's name. This is just for purpose of creating a persona. So you don't need to really get a name from the National Statistics Office or a name of a friend. It can be any random name, but the most important thing in creating a customer persona, aside from the name, okay, is that we can be able to identify what we call as the demographics of that particular person. So this startup created this persona. So the name is Jill Anderson. That would be their persona. So in a way, they were able to identify what would be the possible age of Jill. So in this example, her age is 29, and asking the question, what is the occupation of Jill? What's her status, her location, her tier, and the archetype thing. So the archetype is mostly the personality of Jill that would best describe the customer. In this example, personality of Jill is the planner. She is also organized. You can just see it at the lower left. She's organized, she's practical, she's hardworking. So those are the types of traits that Jill has. They also present a short bio of Jill to better understand the persona of Jill, even the personality, if she's extrovert, whatnot, the brands that she would usually use. So these are the brands like Outlook, Basecamp, and whatnot. What are Jill's goals? What are her frustrations? What motivates Jill? And in terms of technology level, how adept or how good Jill is. So you've already identified in your customer empathy before that this would be the kind of market you are dealing with. So for the purpose of the business model canvas, create a persona. So define and draw out a person that would best represent your customer segment, and slowly craft how old would that person be, a short bio of that person, what are her goals, frustrations, the kind of personality he or she possess, and the brands he or she would love. Okay, so this would now be good examples of which we can be able to identify if these brands are intended for the mass market, if these are intended for the niche, segmented, and whatnot. Okay, after knowing who our customers are, we now go to what we call as the value proposition. So you simply tend to answer the following questions. What value do we deliver to the customers? Which one of our customer problems are we helping to solve? So you might want to look back at the customer persona and identify the frustration that your customer experiences, and what are the problem there? What's the problem there that you would want to solve? Which customer needs are we satisfying? And what would make us unique compared to the others? Because that will now set us apart from the already existing startups that also solves the same problem or might be the same as ours business. Okay, so your value proposition is actually the union of the three things: what our customer would need, what the marketplace is currently offering, and what are you offering. So it is very important that you also need to study your competitors and not only your business. You need to be able to identify two things in the competitor: your direct competitors and indirect competitors. So what would be the difference of the two? Here's an example that can easily identify the difference between a direct and an indirect competitor. Let's say, for example, your business is Coca-Cola. Your direct competitor now would be a company that will also have the same product offering as yours. So in the case of Coca-Cola, it would be no less than Pepsi, of course. So, but there are also indirect competitors in the world of Coca-Cola because not all customers would want to drink soda, right? So we might have, let's say, what would be the other products that people would drink if they decide not to drink soda? Of course, we have like other flavored drinks. We also have like tea flavored drinks. We also have water, of course. So that would now be our indirect competitors. So in a way, it is not only ideal that you look into your startups, but you also need to look at who your competitors are in the market so that you can be able now to set something new for yourself, create a new wave for your startup in order to make you different from what we already have in the market. So elements of the value proposition would be good examples. You are new to the market. This can be really good if upon your research you didn't see any companies or any startups that have the same business as yours. So technically you are new. A value proposition would be in terms of performance, like your product is faster than the rest. There would be some other performance indicators that would yield that yours really are way better because of this one. Customer support might be 24/7, whereas some might only be 12 hours. Okay, or you can be able to deliver 24 hours a day, or you can just get your order same day delivery. That would be that would be a good value proposition for your startup. We can also have customization. Like for example, you can be able to create a business of yours or a startup of yours is something that would be deemed personalized. So that would be a good value proposition for your startup or for your business. We also have what we call as the brand or the status. Like no wonder Apple users will always be Apple. Once you go Mac, you never go back because it brings this kind of brand or status to them. A value proposition would be the design. Like marketplace might be this big, but because of your startup, you can be able to trim down its size, its weight, or you can be able to like really dwindle down on all the components and your design is more slick. It's more for your target market, and that could be a good value proposition. So these are just some of the examples. And finally, the price. Like yours might be cheaper, or if not, if yours would be more expensive than the others, perhaps you can be able to add in we are more expensive because our performance is better than our competitors, or our design is like so good compared to the rest. Hence, you can be able to really maximize up on the price. A good example of that is Apple. Of course, it is not cheap to get an Apple device, but hey, if you have an Apple device, there's branding, there's status labeling, like you are really into this kind of market. And yeah, some people likes Apple because of its performance. It's fast to load up. Unlike Windows, it might take some time and whatnot. So you can always justify your value proposition as long as you are really delivering the goods. Okay, we're done with the value proposition. Next is channel. Channel is simply how are you going to reach your product to your target market or to your customers. So you need to be able to answer the following questions. Through which channels do our customer segments want to reach? How are we reaching them now? How are channels? Which one would work best? Which one would be most cost efficient? And how are we integrating them with the routine of our customers? So 4 things to consider in our channel. Okay? We need to be able to identify our product. If our product, for example, is, let's say, food, there would be a shelf life for that, right? So you need to be able to consider how fast it is or how fast should our customer get the product because it might go stale or it might go bad. You also need to look at the existing market. Like, how are your competitors delivering that kind of product? Are they building a store to reach your customers? Are they inside the mall? Do they have a website? Do they have a Facebook page and whatnot? You also need to consider what we call as middlemen, because some companies tend to have a middleman so that they can just drop everything to the middleman, and the middleman would be the one going to distribute to our customers. That can be okay, but you also need to look at how would be the middleman beefing up the price for our product or services. And of course, you also need to look at your company. Should you decide to have a middleman, can your company be able to source out who the middlemen are in this particular kind of product? Should you decide to put up a store in a mall, can your company be able to afford putting it inside the mall and paying for its rent? So, all things considered, you can be able to really identify the kind of channel that your company can afford and that your company can better reach its customer. So if your product is furniture, for example, it would be very difficult um, to have let's say a logistic one for a furniture because it's very big, it's very huge. So the only way for you to reach your customer if you have a furniture business is you can have it on sea freight if your businesses would be as big as the bed. Okay, you can't do an air freight for that particular kind of furniture, so you also need to consider that. So there are many types of channels. These are just suggestions. You are free to use it. You can have a sales force, like you can hire a sales team to do the marketing, to do the selling. But again, should you decide to do this, you of course you need to be able to pay for them. So for the sales force, you can pay by virtue of sales accumulated, like you give them a specific percentage in accordance to the sales they generate, or you can opt to have a fixed salary done per month. You can also do a web sale, very much similar to what Gish stated earlier when you create your minimum viable product. So if your minimum viable product is working, you can opt to do everything selling it from your website. You can also create your own store if you can afford to put a brick and mortar store inside a mall or in your garage where you can entertain customers. By all means, you can do so. You can also have a partner store, like a store that opens itself to other sellers. Similar to that. There are already a lot of it that tends to carry products that are really not from them, but you also need to pay them in terms of commissions. You can also do wholesaling, like you have a specific amount for wholesalers, and finally you can do so on your own using the retailer mode. So these are just some of the examples. So at least as early as now, you can be able to identify what would be the channel that your startup can use in order to reach your customers. So for Startbox, what do you think would be? Can you chat? What do you think is like the channel of of Starbucks? Provide ba VP ma'am na dili arte ang tindera? Unsay VP sir? Pwede ba value proposition? Okay. Akala ko vice president. So Sir Hope has a question in the chat box. Pwede ba is a value proposition the tenderas are not arte, meaning to say what are the tenderas? Your sales force are not arte. Oh, well, of course, like some like a good example of a company in which their sales force are not maarte is always Starbucks, right? Like they always welcome you when you open the door. They will say hi, good morning, or like that. Yes, but But it's not only a value proposition that your sales force are not maarte, but it should also be a company culture. Okay? So, well, businesses tend to employ people with pleasing personality, but it must be inculcated in your startup culture that, hey, everyone shouldn't be maarte. We should treat our customers with care. We should always smile and like that. So it's not only a value proposition, but also a company culture. So Starbucks is a good example of what kind of channel. Oh, so Conyo. Sorry, it's a mix of Tagalog and English. So Starbucks, it has always been what we call as its own store, right? But considering the pandemic right now, they might be shifting already to another channel because they are trimming down their expenses. That is what we're going to look at in the near future. How about this one? Google and Android. Like get it in Google Store, download it in the App Store. What channel are they using? Can you type your answers in the chat box? We have encountered these products all our lives, right? Where do we usually find this one? It's of course in a website, right? So they are using the power of the internet and the web in order to market their product. Okay, how about this? St. Peter Life Plan or Chapel. They're not doing wholesaling, right? They've got billboards. Yes, very good. They usually they have their own store. Most definitely, if you go in their St. Peter building, oh, they even implored a website right now. Would you be shocked that they already have coffins for sale? Like your death is our way of life. That's not their slogan, okay? But something similar to that. Tired of life, see us St. Peter. Yes, they even have promos. So in St. Peter Life Plan, they normally yes, they good. They even have text messages and text blasts. So wow, that only buy one take one. Yeah, I think if you get a family tier, you can be able to get some. Buy one. That's so funny. I have yet to clarify. Oh my God, there are testimonials. Are you sure? I don't think they have reviews and testimonials. Like, can you provide feedback? Okay. They might have a feedback form using an Ouija board if that is if that is even possible. But with St. Peter Life Plans, they have of course what they call as their sales force. Like they have St. Peter Life Plan agents that will always ask you like, hey friend, do you have a time for a coffee? And you're thinking like, hey, this might be libre. Turns out they're just asking, are you ready to die? They have plans. Like, oh, okay, so it's not free after all. Yes, even insurance works that way. They have a lot of sales force to ask you, to invite you. Yes. See, Hope is correct. Some insurance agents are also life plan agents. At least it's already getting to hitting two birds with one stone, right? Right after you die, your family will get insurance and they don't need to worry anymore where you will lay in your final rest because you already have the St. Peter life plan. We are not promoting this. This is just a form of example. St. Peter life plan should already pay CDO bites for this. Next. Next thing we need to look at is our relationship. Like what type of relationship does each of our customer segments expect us to establish and maintain with them? Capturing your market is good, but maintaining your customers is better because everyone can be our first customers. But how can we keep those customers from buying from us over and over again? How can they patronize us even in the next years to come? That is where customer relationship comes in. Which ones have you established? How costly are they? And how are they integrated with the rest of our business models? So, okay, so what type of relationship should be established and maintained? The one that Hope said that your value proposition would be your tenderas are not maarte. This kind of personal assistance would be a good way to maintain to maintain customer relationships. Like every now and then when our customers would reach out to us, we are always very prompt and very eager to help without the maarte mode, but we are always there with a smiling face. We can also do self-service to them, aside from being a personal assistant to them. There might be an automated service, like this one would be a good way to maintain our customer because they can be able to get their products or their service in X number of minutes without them waiting for us because everything is done using automation. Perhaps we can also maintain them because we build a community out of it. Like if you have, let's say, a startup that is into, let's say gardening, like you are trying to deliver this particular gardening tool or this gardening whatever. Perhaps you can create now a community of fellow gardeners out of your startup. So at least the community would be there to help out your customers. They can easily reach out for questions. Some would just give us answers. And that would be a good way to maintain our customers because it's not only you that's giving them, that's sharing to them, but also the rest of the community is helping them at the same time. We can also do a co-creation, meaning to say your customers are not only on the buying end, but they can also help create your product because you would constantly ask them, like, how could we make our product better? What would be the next best thing? How would you suggest adding something to this one and this? And when customers are involved in product development, they are more engaged in your product because hey, I suggested that. Hey, I did this, I did that. So, you know, you know how customers tend to like a product if their ideas are adapted, if their ideas are also injected. So that is a good way to maintain your customers. And we have dedicated personal assistants. Like, no wonder customers would rather pay X number of dollars every month for a subscription because if you have problems with this particular product, they have a personal concierge that will attend to their needs almost immediately. Good example would be credit card. If your credit card is into the platinum level, in that level, whenever you call customer service, you're always first in line. And that is how you would want to get a platinum card because whenever I call, it's very easy for me to reach an agent and it's not really an agent that answers it. It's someone higher like a manager, a supervisor that will attend to your problem and you know it can be solved in an instant. So if your startup can be able to deliver that kind of relationship, by all means, you will already have a steady stream of customers who would be more than eager to buy from you. Okay, here are some good examples of products.
4 years ago, we started to wonder.
Can you hear that? I'm sorry. Yes, okay. So, lagi lang. Sige lang. I will be sending you a YouTube video link so that you can be able to see this not in lagi form. Okay. Let's start from the very beginning.
4 years ago, we started to wonder. What would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
Wow, that would be the kind of store that this pandemic would that is really COVID like right? COVID ready, right? So you don't need to line up and meet other people in the counter because you can just get the product and then go. And then just walk out and you will just automatically be charged. No use of cash. So very minimal people transaction. You just go, get, and walk out. So that would be a kind of customer relationship that Amazon wants. And I think with techie people out there, this is the kind of this the kind of service they would like because they can just easily grab something and then go out. So that would be a good example. Okay, now we go to the fifth one. It is really so cool, right? I hope you will have one in the Philippines. Calling Amazon. Okay, now the important thing is what we call as the revenue stream. So we are going to answer the following questions. What are customers really willing to pay for? And how are you generating transactional or recurring revenues? Oo, talagang matagal pa silang pupunta sa Pilipinas. Kasi baka kukuha lang tayo ng walang bayad. You know how honesty stores don't work in some parts of the Philippines? Yes, it might be a concern. Okay, for the revenue streams, like for what value our customer segment are really willing to pay, yeah, most parts. We can have the following fees. Okay. Like, our customers can pay for what we call as the asset sale, meaning to say they pay for they pay for the product or the service. It's very easy. They just get the product and they pay for the value of the product. That is how usually businesses and startups get revenue, doing the asset sale. They can also have what we call as brokerage fee, in which they are getting a particular partition out of the sale. Subscription fees, we normally do this via Spotify, Netflix, in which we pay for X number of costs on a monthly basis. We can also get revenue by renting it out. If you were a child in the 90s, like you can rent out movies before. Wow, those were the times. You can just rent you can just rent a VHS tape. Yeah. Well, we've done this. We've done that before. You can also do leasing, or you can even pay by virtue of lending. Like you just pay for X number of days that you use it, and just you simply return it. Very much a good example for a lending one is they have this project this fashion runway startup in New York. Like for example, an event in the evening and you have nothing to wear at all, you simply lend a particular suit, a particular set of clothes for that night. You will be charged in accordance to that use, and the following day, you simply can return all the borrowed clothes and suits back. So it's lending. I hope that is in the Philippines. We can also do licensing. Like, for example, if you already create a product and you have trademarked it, there's a patent for it, you already filed a patent for it, then you can opt to sell that license to companies who would be doing the market creation for that. You can just sell the license of the patent to them so they can be able to use it. And of course, you can also create revenue streams in terms of advertising. Like, for example, if you have a website sale, very much similar to Facebook and Google, if more people are coming in, you can opt to advertise and promote a specific area in your website for companies who would be more than willing to pay for that space. And that is how you get your revenue stream. So Facebook, for example, is using what kind of revenue stream? Answers in the chat box, please. There's none. So Facebook is into the revenue stream is, of course, we have advertising. Like if you have a web page, if you have a business page in Facebook, if you want more people to like your page or see your post, then you can opt to buy some ads in Facebook. Okay, so that is what we call as advertising. No one is doing subscription, right, on Facebook? Okay. Next, Google is also the same. It's into advertising. Okay. And also for Google Play and App Store, they are using what we call as an asset sale because after paying, you can download the app and you can be able to use it. Okay. Questions on the first 5. The customer, the value proposition, the channel, the relationship, and the revenue stream. None. Okay. Do not be afraid to ask questions. You are more than welcome to email us or send us a message in our Facebook group. And we are happy to share the PowerPoint to you. Okay. Now we go to the 6th part, which is the key resources. So the key resources would simply answer the question, what are the key resources that you would need for your value proposition? Our distribution channel, customer relationship, revenue stream, it basically answers that thing. Good example of key resources would be physical. Like, do you need an office? Do you need computers? Do you need desktops, laptops? What are the things you would need in order for you to create your business, in order for you to create your startup? So those would be the kind of key resources you need to be able to know. You also need to have intellectual, like who are and very much some and it coincides with human, like who are the persons that you should employ in your startup. Are in artificial intelligence, need to employ people who are very technical and knowledgeable in AI. But apart from that, you also need to hire people who would do the marketing. Remember the startup triad, right? You also need hustlers. You don't only need hackers, but you also need hustlers and hipsters. Oh, sorry. Nawawala yung audio. Okay, again. Is this better? Nahinay. Okay. So, okay, very good. Thank you. Again, in your key resources, you need to be able to identify what are the things you would need in order to build your business, your brand, and your startup. So we've discussed physical, meaning to say, what are the physical things you would need? Do you need an office? Do you need computers? Do you need supercomputers? Do you need servers? And similar to that, do you need desk? Do you need bond papers? So even the minute details are very necessary to identify the physical resources. Intellectual and human works the same, like who should be the people you are employing. And again, Similar to what was discussed in the first part, in your startup umbrella, you don't only need to hire hackers or the ones that are technically good, but you also need to hire people who can work as your hipsters, who can work as your hustlers, like your marketing people, okay? Especially if your startup in terms of channel is into Salesforce. So you need to be able to identify the kind of person you would want to be on board in your startups. Financial. How much money do you need in order to have the launch pad of your startup? So you need to be able to identify that. And finally, our other natural needs, like you need water, you need electricity. Very much similar to that. So those are the key resources that are very important to identify so you can be able to build your startup. Next, once we are done with the resources, we need to identify now the activities. Like what are the activities that would be required for your value proposition? What other key activities are required for your distribution channel in maintaining relationships, in getting money into the business? So, good examples of key activities that you need to consider would be the following. Sorry. Production. Like if you are if you are generating this kind of food business, what would be the kind of production or operations do you need as part of your activities? Problem solving activities like research and like your R&D, like your research. And what would be the things that can be also included as part in the management arena, because usually the founders and the management are the ones doing the problem solving. How about for your networking? What are the activities that you need in order to get the brand out? Are you planning to do like a buy one, take one coffin, for example, if I may borrow that? Or are you trying to build a social media page? For partnership, who are your target partners? Like, for example, if you have your retail, like if you have a retail partner that will sell your product, then who are they? What do they need from you? How can you entice them to partner with you? And finally, the kind of service, like how will you be able to do your distribution? How can you be able to do and maintain relationships? Those are the activities that you need to be able to identify as early as now in order to really address the other activities in our business model. It might be a lot, yes, because your business really requires a lot, not only coming from you but also going to your customer. So as early as now, you need to be able to identify the activities that would be deemed important in order to create your value proposition, in order to reach your customers, and in order to get money coming into your business. Key partners. Of course, you are not only building a business as an island. No startup is an island. So you need to be able to identify who you should onboard and help you with your startup. So who would be your key partners? Who would be your suppliers? Okay? And which would be the key resources so we can acquire partners, investors, and whatnot would definitely help you answer the key partners. And as such, you can do the following. You can have a strategic alliance. Like you can have group of founders with you, or you have a community with you. You can do joint ventures. Like if your startup, if you think your startup would skyrocket if you have a partnership with this one because your product complemented with an already existing startup, that can be a good joint venture. Okay, you can also do a cooperation, like you have startup one to business one cooperation. You can have a buyer supplier partner, and you can also do franchising. Those would be good examples for you to identify your key partners. These are just examples, but in your business model canvas, you can even identify who your key partners are in details. Let's say startup two would be another key partner. Jollibee is a key partner. You can even do so, but these are just the types of key partners that will help you somehow do it. And finally, the cost structure, because again, money might be coming in your business, but of course, there's also that great possibility that money will go out. As such, identify what are the important costs that is inherent to your business and what do you think are the key activities that are expensive so you can limit the money going out of your business. The revenue stream is money coming in. The cost structure is money coming out. So as such, money coming in must be bigger than money coming out. Because money coming out, if it's greater than money coming in, expect bankruptcy. That shouldn't happen. Okay? So for the cost structure, okay, these are some of the things you need to look at. Value-driven cost structure. We also have fixed costs. Fixed costs would normally be the salaries that you pay. These are usually the monthly items you pay on a fixed rate. We also have variable costs like utilities tend to fluctuate every month in terms of cost. Okay. That would be good examples of costs you need to consider. You can even break that up into salaries, marketing expense, utilities expense. Those are good examples of cost structures. Okay, like Facebook ads expense, Google ads expense, salary to founders expense. What else? Payment to suppliers expense. That would be cost structure. It's still part of the cost structure. So as such, a recap, okay? So always start with the customer in mind. Second would be your value proposition, like how are you different from the others? What's something unique? What's something better you can give? Then the channel, like how can you reach to your customers? How will you maintain part of your customer relationship? How can you get more money for your business? That's your revenue stream. What would be your key resources that you would need in order to drive or fuel your startup? What are the activities that you would need in order to come up with your product? Who would be your partners? That would be your key partners. And how much are you spending? And what are those costs? That will now give you the cost structure. Okay, let's just move that out. Let's just proceed now to this one. So basically, your value proposition, your customer relationship, and your channel is the what? The other part, your customer segment is the who. Value proposition, relationship, channel is the what. The key partner activities and resources is your how. And your revenue stream and your cost structure would answer how much. So again, a business model is not a mission statement. It's not even a revenue model because revenue stream is only one part of your business model canvas. And it's not only your value proposition because it gives you an entire overview of your business. And it's not even a business plan. Okay? So here are some examples that would really help you draw out your business model canvas. This is very simple, but it hits all the items in our business model canvas. Let's say you're selling a lemonade. Every child, I think, experienced selling something. So let's say I am selling a lemonade. So my customer segment would be park visitors because, well, okay, put up, I will put up my lemonade in the park. So my target segment now would be the visitors of the park. My value proposition, I will make sure that my lemonade is cold, tasty, and natural. No preservatives, no artificial flavoring. That would be a good value proposition. How will you now make sure that your lemonade will reach your target market? You have the channels. So in this example, the channel would be a booth sale. Like I really put up a stall in the park. Or my second channel would be creating a website via that website, kellyslemonade.com. How will I maintain relationship with my customers? Personal. Let's say, hindi po ako maarte, sabi ni Hope. So whenever a customer would come and buy, I will make sure to ask them, how are you today? Are you feeling good? So at least there would be relationship building in terms of you being personal, right? Now, how will I get money into my business via my revenue streams? I have the sales from, and I will have a tip jar box to tip me. That would be a good way to earn more money. Key resources, like what are the things I would need in order to come up with my lemonade? I need ingredients, right? I need the lemons, I need the water, I need the ice. I also need salespeople because what if there's not only one stall? I would want to have more stalls. So I need salespeople. And I also would need my booth and equipment. Like I would need an apron, for example. I would need like um banners, for example. I need tarpaulins, for example. So that would be my key resources. What would be my key activities for me to come up with my lemonade and reach my customers? Of course, I need to make my lemonade. I need to do marketing via my website, for example. And of course, I need to sell it out because I have a booth. Who would be my key partners? I need I need the yes of the municipalities because they will need to give me like permits, for example. Otherwise, if I don't have permit, I can't build up my booth in the park. So that would be a key partner. Cost structure, like what would be the items in this business that will make money go out? Ingredients, of course, I need to buy ingredients. I need to pay for equipment. I need to pay salaries to my salespeople. And since I need marketing, as my key activity, I would need to shell out money to print out flyers, to print out the tarps, for example, to build up those banners, for example. So this might be very, very simple, but at least you can really be able to identify that, hey, in this refreshing lemonade business, these are the key components that comprise its business model canvas. So given this example, I am most certain you can already be able to draw out even an item or two in each of the box in this business model canvas. If you want, okay, a more like close to your heart thing, this would be the business model canvas of Uber. So at least you can be able to identify. It's just very, very simple, right? Customer segment for Uber, they have two, the passengers and the drivers. Their value proposition, what makes Uber unique and better, they have taxi on demand. You can just ride a cab without cash. So it's cash free, easy to order cab, and short wait time. Do remember that they have different colors. The colors coincide. So for passengers in purple, the value proposition in purple would be the value propositions intended for the passengers. Okay? So a value proposition for the passengers would be they can easily order cab with short wait time. For drivers, drivers would be enticed to use Uber because of the following value propositions: passengers on demand, and they can make additional money, which is good for the drivers, right? Okay, so how can Uber reach their passengers customer segment? So these are their channels. They have a mobile app, they have their social media marketing, and they have their PR people that will advertise the word out there. Customer relationship, it's automated, meaning to say for every concerns there might be a bot that helps answer them or whatnot. That would be a good way to maintain relationships. So how is money going into Uber? They have the following revenue streams: pay per ride charges, they have surge pricing, like they have different prices in accordance to the demand.
Like they experience greater demand in the following time of day, so they have way higher pricing compared to the following hours of the day. They also have premium Uber brands. So if you want to ride a limousine rather than this kind of car to your way on your way to work, then you have premium. You need to pay premium for that. Key resources in order to build the Uber platform. Okay, they have the platform, they have their pricing algorithm, they have a routing algorithm that will help the drivers. Key activities they would need. They have platform development, marketing. They have driver onboarding as part of their key activities. Who would be their partners? Of course, the drivers that owns the car. They need payment partners in order to yield a cashless transaction. They also have mapping data providers, of course, authorities like the government in order to give them licensing to operate, and cost structure, platform development. Of course, they need to pay for that, salaries to their employees, sales and marketing, and finally, payment to drivers. Quite complicated. This would now be another good example for Airbnb. So you can be able to read that out. At least I already gave you two examples. This would be the third one, the Airbnb. And that's the end of everything. So it's almost 12. 7 minutes for questions if there are. Again, we will be giving you the PowerPoint for your reference. So as a form of assignment, the template was already emailed to you. Kindly complete all the 9 items in your business model canvas. It might be as simple as the refreshing lemonade output, or it can be as comprehensive as the Uber or the Airbnb example. Okay, so we would be expecting that output by next week. If there are questions, feel free to ask now or email us later or reach out on our Facebook group. I am more than happy to entertain questions if there are. Okay, no one I think is typing in the chat box. So, my God, you are really, really good. Thank you so much. Everything's clear. What about the presentations we showed you of our MVP and empathy map? Yes, Kai and Gish.
Hello. Regarding on the MVP and empathy map, for those who have not presented yet, kindly email na lang to us your outputs together na lang siguro with the BMC para ma-consolidate na lahat.
Yeah, we will have a midweek meeting, right? Next week. So, sorry. So at least you can be able, if you haven't presented your MVP and empathy map, we can have the meeting with you in order for us to review the empathy map and the MVP. And if your BMC is ready, we are more than happy to look into it. Okay. Thank you so much, Jur. And again, this the BMC is not a one-time thing, okay? So you might have answers as early as next week, but then again, it's not always final because you can always go back and change it if you happen to change a customer segment or if you happen to explore and discover a new channel, a new value proposition, you are more than welcome to change it. So again, it's not a one-time thing. It's an iterative thing. You can opt to improve it as you go over time in your startup journey. It's not final, but at least you can be able to already have a bird's eye view of how your business will be operating and how you make money. Okay? Okay. So I am done, Gisha. Okay, let's
So thank you so much, Mom Rhea, for your presentation. I guess we'll just have our group photo. Can everyone turn on their videos for the group photo? Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. One more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, I guess okay na. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening for today's session. We'll see you for the next one.
There's no more session in the afternoon, right, Kai?
No more session, ma'am.
Okay, so you are free. Trying to create your business model canvas. Thank you.
We would like to also
Thank you,
acknowledge the
everyone.
presence of Mom Cristal from DOST. Thank you so much, Mom Cristal, for joining us in our session.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Cristel.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week. And please,
Thank you. Bye.
we might be having a midweek meeting for your
Thank you. See you.
MVP. Thank you.